Matt in the solid position. Matt, how are you today?
I'm good. Thank you, Polly. How are you?
Good. Coach Autry has said multiple times that he is proud of his team, and our chat and listeners are up in arms at this. So I'm going to put a caller on the phone right now because I solicited this, and I thought you would be interested in this too. What should Coach Autry say about his team? Let's go to Wayne in the truck. Wayne, what would make you happy Coach Autry said about his team?
Well, this is what would make me happy. And if he said specifically to Vito and Pat and Griffin, to shut the hell up. I don't care. I'm the coach. I don't care what you guys think.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that. All right, that was a good answer. I agree with that. All right, man. I was hoping somebody would call in with a actual answer of like how you can't say my team stinks and I don't like these guys. How would you handle this?
Well, maybe they'll call. You can continue to solicit it. Look, everybody's upset. This is unprecedented. It stinks for everybody involved at every angle, Adrian Autry included, his bosses included, everybody in the community. Nobody wants Syracuse basketball to be bad. Period. I think what's happening is people are grasping, so they're looking for explanation. The one I got the other day, how could you hire a coach who only knows zone? That's just nonsense, right? Come up with a better reason. And I'm not saying you got to claim that Adrian Autry is the greatest coach of all time or he's John Wooden. Nobody's saying that. What's being said, at least all I'm saying, or my point of view, is he was hired to do the job. You don't fire a coach in the second year and let it play out. We've all said that if it's like this, if it's not good next year, they will make a change. I mean, that's just the way it is. And they're not going to make a change this year, and it sounds like that's been more publicly confirmed by John Wildak. So that's where it is. Now, as far as the parsing of the post-game press conference, and he says this and says that, want to work for a leader or play for somebody who doesn't have his players back? I think we're all in this market spoiled to an extent. Coach Boeheim was a pretty good, one of the best things he did, actually, in terms of his media relations. He would come out after the game and he would give that 60 to 90 second spiel that was pretty comprehensive. Now, he did it on the sort of misguided hope that if I answer all the questions, they won't ask me anything more. That it doesn't work that way. It's not going to. Nobody ever in the history of press conferences ever said, "Oh, okay, thanks, coach," and let them walk away. They're still going to ask questions. But his synopsis of the game was pretty good and on the nose. He would tell you if a guy missed an assignment or this, that, and the other, and he got criticized for that sometimes too, that he was too harsh on. We all can list it off, right, on Chris McCullough, on Tyler Roberson, on whatever. But I think from a fan perspective, you couldn't really ask for more from him. He broke down the game. He told you what went well, what didn't go well. Adrian Autry is taking that lead. He's not going to throw his players under the bus very often. He's trying to, without name names, tell you what he thinks went wrong. It's getting repetitive. They have a real chance to lose 20 games this year. Everybody's tired of that. I just don't – where do you want him to go? I think the Red has become a way too easy punching bag, and that part of it to me is disappointing. I think it's one thing to be a coach and doesn't have it work out. I think this last game in particular, for me personally, was the first one where my reaction was one of more empathy. I felt more sorry for them than I felt critical of them, really for the first time all year.
Matt, you mentioned it. We had John Wildak on the show. He said Red's coming back. He also said that meant we need to play meaningful games in March next year. What do you take that as?
They got to be in the mix. You got to be at least on the bubble next year. I mean, that would be I didn't hear it, so that would be my interpretation of what you said. I'll have to go back and listen. That what he's doing, John is trying to, I don't want to speak for him, but what I gather he's doing is he's giving the fans an indication of what the expectation is without locking it down to a specific number or specific results, because meaningful games in March is open to interpretation. But my interpretation of it would be you'd have to be at least on the bubble at this time next year.
And going to that, though, we kind of felt that way with Dino. We thought it was, hey, make a bowl game. The standard might be higher than that, right? We don't know. And I'm sure Red will know next year going into the year what the standard will be.
I mean, obviously, this program is used to going to the NCAA tournament. I think we all know that the expectation for everybody is to make the tournament. And it certainly, there was a time when that was happening so regularly that you raised the bar even higher than that. And you thought, well, the Sweet 16 is sort of expected. It's really hard to get there. It's not as easy as it is presumed to be. Now, obviously, it's got to change. This can't be sustained here in this community, and with just the way the university and the whole package is put together, it's not going to go well if this is a program that never makes the tournament or doesn't, make it very often. So a 4-year drought, long enough. If next year is a 5th-year drought, then I would say the head coach is in trouble. And if maybe there may be a close enough and you showed some progress and that type of thing, but that's a year off before we know that.
Matt, you look at these last 4 games, double-digit leads in the second half of all 4, 1-3 in those 4 games. I don't need to tell you that. Curious, as you look at it, what is the biggest reason for why this keeps happening?
I just think they're not good enough. And it's going to manifest itself the longer the game plays out. If the game was 32 minutes, they'd have more wins. If the game was 45, they might have fewer. They're not as good as the teams they're playing. And obviously there are reasons for that, reasons/excuses or whatever. But the bottom line is they don't have the talent, the IQ, the whatever it is. They're just not enough. The depth, however you want to phrase it. And so the longer the game goes, they're more of an underdog. And doesn't mean they can't compete for 8 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 35 minutes. But to see it all the way through has been beyond their reach. They could have won at SMU the other night, but for a couple of plays. That happens to be in a game where SMU missed 1,000 free throws, too. So there's a lot of nuance to it, but it all comes back down to they just don't have enough, and the longer you play, it's going to show up. Did
they miss those free throws, Matt, because the coach is unprofessional and they did not practice free throws during warm-ups? I was curious if you noticed that.
I've basically never, during pregame warm-ups, I don't know that I've ever seen teams shoot many free throws, but okay. SMU missed a bunch, and Syracuse missed fewer than SMU missed in the game, but the Orange had an knack for missed them at the wrong time. But they shot 74% from the line in the game. You really, to me, the bar would be 75%. If you're way below that, you got a problem. If you're right around there, you can't really quibble here and there. Now, when you talk about missing front end of 1-on-1s and that type of stuff, there's a little more detail. SMU shot 48%. If you put them at 25, that's 6 more points or whatever that they make in the game. So that is a little bit of a gift and an open door, and Syracuse did not walk through that open door.
What do you make of this regular season finale against Virginia? What are you looking to see Saturday night?
Again, I think they'll play hard. These guys. It's funny that we always talk about the coaches, the community, the talk radio callers, the social media have a much longer memory than the players. And it's not to say the players don't care. It's just they're in this grind. They get up for every game. The losses don't probably stick with them as much as they do everybody else. And that had to have been a crushing loss against SMU the other night, and then hop on a plane and get home at 5 a.m. That was not a very pleasant experience. My expectation is they'll play really hard. They'll be right in the game. I think it'll be a continuation of what we've seen here lately. Virginia's gotten better over the course of the season, but I don't think they're anything to be afraid of, like they're going to come in with mega talent and put it on you. I think Syracuse will have, kind of an emotional adrenaline type start in the final dome game of the year. I expect them to be right there, and it's going to come down to these final few minutes. Is this the time that they do what you need to do, have that attention to detail, that discipline to stick with it through the final horn and hang on, or not? And that to me is really what it comes down to.
You know, Matt, I'm going to circle back to Coach Autry and his press conferences and stuff. We've watched it all year. Every fan has watched what's happened to this team all year. And he says things like, you know, we miss rebounds when they count. We lose a defensive. Like, I could go back to the game at Notre Dame when I can name names. Lucas Taylor misses his defensive assignment. This past SMU game, there's a game. Eddie Lampkin gets a rebound in a crucial time, ripped out of his hands. For, you know, like, that hasn't happened all year. You know, what do you make of that? Like, is that coaching?
I think a little bit of it is. I think coaching is in the act of preventing it, right? I'll go you one further. Jaquan Carlos, who's played over 100 college games, down 6 with 11 seconds to go, takes a 2-point field goal.
Right.
Okay. Jaquan Carlos didn't forget math or need to be told that it's a full 2-possession game, that a 2-point field goal doesn't do you any good there. But in the heat of the moment, he didn't make the right decision. Yes, you can practice that. They do practice it. I do think I may see going forward. One of the things that they'll evaluate here at the end of the year might be what they practice and where they spend their time, and maybe they do practice situational stuff more going forward. But did you have to tell a senior with that volume of experience that down 6, a 2-point field goal doesn't do us any good with 11 seconds to go? Maybe you do, and so part of that goes to coaching, but the other part of it goes to you got everybody knows the assignments. They're clear on the assignments and what they do. They practice these scenarios. You've got to execute. You got to put a body on somebody. I mean, watch the last couple plays of the SMU game, the last 2 SMU baskets. They're just blown assignments. And of course, it comes down to coaching. It comes down to personnel. And when I say personnel, it has to do with your basketball IQ, your athleticism, your size, all of those things. I think it's a typical snarky response now in social media. Oh, they lost again. Must be NIL. Got to blame NIL. Well, what NIL does is allows for you to choose from the highest. If your dollars go up, you choose from a higher pool, and in that higher pool, maybe you have closer to complete players. And NIL allows you to miss a little bit and get away with it potentially. Syracuse has not been able to afford to miss, and obviously in this last time around they missed or came up a little short in the portal, and they've been exposed for it.
And to that point, how about this? Last night, Mark Sears, Alabama. He's played in 163 career games. I checked while you were just answering that question, Matt. He did the exact same thing. Down 6, there was like 15 seconds to go. Didn't take a 3, went to the basket, laid it in, made it a 4-point game. And you're like, what? Why? Like, that makes no sense. Why even do that? So it's happening everywhere.
That was Coach Autry's fault.
Yeah, that was right. But Nate Oates he's the be-all and end-all of all coaches. So it can happen.
Yeah. Have you played enough ball to just have the instinct built up?
Right.
That, look, if they're inviting you to take a shot, maybe it's not the one you should take.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Same thing when a guy who's made 6 threes all season. Oh, I was open. Yeah, there's a reason you were open. They're not guarding you, right? And so sometimes that works out that it was your best opportunity, and every now and again, even one of those shots goes in. It doesn't mean it was the right play.
Right. That's fair. All right, we're out of time. Adrian Autry show coming up tonight over at Carrabba's. That's right, last one, Matt. And good luck with that, and we'll see you this weekend inside the Dome.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right, Matt Park joining us here. We'll take our final time out. We'll wrap things up next on ESPN.